Good evening, sir.
Morning, madam.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, madam.
How are you, sir?
Fine, ma'am.
Ma'am, shall we begin the program, ma'am?
Ma'am, I have shared a PPT in the group.
Ma'am, 6 o'clock we can start, ma'am. Our time is 6 p.m.
Ma'am, I have shared the sir's PPT in the group.
Yes, ma'am.
It has to be.
We have to present it.
Yeah, we have to present.
Okay. 2 minutes, sir. We will make it ready.
என்ன உன் மெயில் என்ன?
Deepapriya ma'am, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Kavita ma'am, shall we start?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Professor, please start.
Shall we
Yes, sir.
begin?
Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Good evening, one and all present here. I cordially welcome you all for the fourth day of our FDP on Beyond Boundaries, Driving Innovations in Research, organized by Auxilium College in collaboration with Northeast Institute of Social Studies and Research, Dimapur, Nagaland. To pray is to let go and let God take over, says Philippians. It's a reminder to trust in divine guidance. As we begin the program today, let's bow our heads down and raise our hearts to God. A few moments of prayer will help us to succeed through. God, our Father and Mother, the Alpha and Omega, omnipotent, ever-living, and gracious God, Creator of the heaven and the earth, we bow before you in gratitude and thanks as we have begun the fourth day of our national level FDP program. Thank you for the knowledge, insight, experience we gained so far. We pray that thou may bestow your blessings even today. Bless the host Auxilium College and the collaborating institution. We pray for the blessings upon the resource person for today's lecture, the organizers, and the participants from various colleges across the country. Bless us all. We completely surrender all the proceedings of today in your hands. May this evening be pleasant and full of learning. Thank you, God, for hearing us. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Pleasant evening to one and all present here. Now I invite Dr. Deepapriya, Assistant Professor of Physics, Auxilium College, to present the welcome address.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening to one and all present here. It is my honor and privilege to welcome you all to the fourth day online FDP on Behind Boundaries, Driving Innovation and Research. We are privileged to have Dr. B. Devamaidan, a distinguished professor of management studies from University of Madras, as a key contributor to today's program. Sir has more than 20 years of experience in teaching and research. His areas of specialization are marketing and human resources, and Sir has n number of publications. He has been a chairperson of the Board of Studies at the Institute of Distance Education, University of Madras. Sir has been instrumental in shaping progressive curriculums. His research covering a diverse topic from consumer behavior to innovative training methodologies. Today's program is a remarkable platform for the collaboration and knowledge sharing, at aiming the faculty members with innovative tools and techniques to enhance the research endeavors. Once again, I extend a warm welcome to everyone. Let us embark on this journey of innovation and discovery together. Welcome you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Dear participants, kindly switch on your videos for a photograph. Can we have few more participants? Please be on your videos. Yeah. Thank you. May I now request our chief guest and resource person of today's program to take over. Sir. May I now request our resource person, Dr. Devamindan sir, to take over the session and present your lecture. Sir, can you see the PPT, sir?
Shall I start, madam?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can start, sir.
Very good evening, one and all process. So first I thank the organizers for giving this opportunity to share my knowledge and expertise among the learning process. So today's title is how do we translate the research into impact? So I will try to give some justification to the topic. I will try to cover what do we mean by impact, why is impact important in any research, and why does research impact matters all from research to impact. Just I am giving an introduction, please wait. Once I say yes, then they will share the screen. Please wait, friends. So let us try to start the topic. So today's topic assigned to me is how are we going to translate the research into impact? So over to Professor. Please go to the slide number 1. First, let us see what is an impact. Impact is the measurable difference research makes on real world challenges. It includes.
Sir, sorry for disturbing, sir. 1 minute. Ma'am, others, can you please mute the audios? Some sound we could hear. Yes, sir. Please proceed, sir.
First, let us see what is an impact.
Sir, not audible, sir. Yes, sir, it is not audible. I think sir has some problem. Please wait. Thank you.
Impact is the measurable difference Now, is it audible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Some issues in the network? Sorry.
Yes, sir. It's okay, sir. Please continue, sir.
So, why is impact important? Impact is important because it demonstrates the value of research beyond academia. It solves basically critical real world problems. For example, you can take the case of public health crisis and also climate change. As far as the public health crisis is concerned, no one would forget about this COVID-19, which caused a very big damage in our day-to-day life. And this COVID-19 that will be explained in a different slide. So no more discussion in this COVID-19. And as far as this climate change is concerned, all the countries across the continents are suffering because of the climate change, and we witness this uneven rainfalls, uneven floods, and also Arctic ice is not freezing now. Impact is important because it builds public trust and credibility in the research. It aligns with the global goals such as the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The Sustainable Development Goals we used to call as SDGs. This impact, it is about making a difference. It is not just publishing the papers, but transforming the knowledge into action. So in this slide, we have given just an introduction about what is an impact and why is impact important. Let us move on to the next slide. In the next slide, let us see why research impact matters. Please move on to the next slide. Impact matters a lot. It solves the next slide, please. Next slide. Second. Yes. Impact solves the real world problems, as we told earlier, like healthcare, climate change, social justice, and so on and so forth. It increases the research relevance beyond the academia, and it contributes to our national goals as well as the global goals called the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. As far as the Sustainable Development Goals are concerned, the United Nations, they have listed some 17 goals in the year 2015 as a part of achieving this 2030 agenda for sustainable development in the world. As far as India is concerned, Niti Aayog is the nodal agency which achieves the SDG in our country. And the father of the Sustainable Development Goals was former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. So this is a brief introduction about this SDG, and still we will discuss SDG in the coming slides. And also, the impact builds credibility as well as public trust in the research. So in this slide, we have explained why research impact matters. Moving to the next slide, we are going to list out the various strategies for planning impactful research. Here we have given some 3 strategies. The first one is start with the end in the mind. So what we are going to achieve at last, we should be able to predict it. That is what the meaning for the statement, start with the end in mind. So we should have defined, clear as well as real world goals for our research. The second one is, the second strategy is engage the stakeholders at the earliest stage. Thereby, we can collaborate with the policymakers, the industries, as well as the communities to ensure relevance. When we talk about the community, it includes local community as well as the global community. Then the third strategy, use iterative approaches. It means you have to continuously evaluate and refine your work based upon the feedback you achieve, feedback you get from the field. So let us try to give some examples. Designing the healthcare interventions with the help of patient input and creating green technologies to reduce carbon emissions. So these are some of the strategies which were planned because of the impactful research. The next one, the next slide, will be listing out the frameworks for knowledge transition or knowledge translation. It is how we are going to translate the knowledge into action. So for this process, we need frameworks. The frameworks, they provide a structured approach which bridges the gap between the research and the application. Framework, as per Graham et al. 2006, it guides the researchers through the cyclical process of adapting, implementing, and sustaining findings in the real world context. Rogers, in the year 2003, he has explained about this process called as diffusion of innovations. So Rogers explained how research-based innovation spread through populations, and how, and that's also emphasize the adoption process and scaling process. So the diffusion of innovation series that will be explained in the coming slides. So now just we are given an introduction about the frameworks. The next slide, let us try to explain how the research is converted into the. Please, previous slide. Yes. So you have to first of all identify the problem, engage the various stakeholders early in the process, conduct rigorous research. Step 4, translate the knowledge into action. Step 5, evaluate the research and give sustainable impact. Then you have to make a roadmap diagram. That's a visual. So the conversion process from research to impact involves 6 stages. Stage 1, problem identification. Stage 2, engaging the stakeholders. Step 3, conduct rigorous research. Step 4, translate the knowledge into action. Step 5, evaluate and sustain impact. And step 6 is visualization. So this is how we are translating the research into impact process. Then let us see the importance of stakeholder engagement. Next slide, please. Why stakeholders are important and how can we engage the stakeholders? Stakeholders are very important because they define the real world problems and also it is actionable. Once we know why stakeholders are important, the next thing is how are we going to engage the various stakeholders. So for that, there are various techniques. You can either co-design the projects with them, you can build long-term collaborations, and you can visualize and also icons of various diverse stakeholders. Then let us see the framework of converting the knowledge to action cycle. Please move on to the next slide. So this is the diagram which shows how do we convert the knowledge into action cycle. So the knowledge area, we have knowledge inquiry, knowledge synthesis, knowledge tools and products. So first, problem identification. There you have to determine the knows and also do some gap analysis. You identify, review, and also select the knowledge. So once the problem identification is completed, next you have to see that whether the knowledge is adapting to the local context. While seeing that, you have to assess the various barriers and also the facilitators to use the knowledge. Once the assessment process is done, the next step is you have to select and you have to do this tailor-made and implement the interventions. Then you monitor the use of knowledge, and also in the next step you have to evaluate the outcomes. Then you sustain the use of knowledge. So this is like a cycle, and this involves 4 aspects. One is knowledge creation, number 2 is adaptation, number 3 is implementation, and number 4 is evaluation. And this model is given by Graham ID et al. In the year 2006. So this is something related to the knowledge to action cycle. Then let us see the diffusion of innovation model. Next slide, please. As far as the knowledge to action cycle is concerned, it's a widely recognized framework that helps the bridge, that helps to bridge the gap between the research findings and the real world applications. It emphasizes an iterative cyclical process where the knowledge is continually refined, adapted, and implemented. So this is a brief overview about the knowledge to action cycle. Then, please move on to the next slide. Let us see what are the stages in the KTA cycle. The first one is knowledge creation. So we need to know the purpose and also the steps in the process. The purpose is here to generate new as well as reliable knowledge through the rigorous research. So for that, we have 3 steps. The first one is knowledge inquiry. The second one is knowledge synthesis. The third one is developing the various tools and techniques or formats. So the knowledge inquiry, we have to collect the raw research data. And in the second step called as the synthesis step, you have to organize the findings into the usable formats like systematic reviews. And in the third step, we have to create the guidelines, models, and frameworks for the end users. So how will you create knowledge? The best example is developing a set of clinical practice guidelines based upon the research findings. So the first stage in the KTA cycle is knowledge creation. Let us go to the next slide. Then we want to see how do we adapt to the local context. Here the purpose is tailor the knowledge to meet the specific needs, cultural contents, or research constraints of the target audience or setting. So here it's a 2-step methodology where in the first step you have to identify the contextual factors, and in the second step you have to modify the tools or recommendations accordingly. So as far as the contextual factors are concerned, the examples are infrastructure and the social norms. Here also, the example for adapting to the local context, the best example is adapting the global health guidelines for the resource limited rural areas in our country. So this is the thing, that is adaptation to the local context. Let us go to the next slide. The third one is implementation. So what is the process? What is the purpose? Apply the adapted knowledge in practice to drive change. Here the steps include engage the stakeholders to foster buy-in, provide training, resources, and support to the end users, piloted solution in a controlled environment before the full-scale application. So how do we implement? The best example is rolling out a community-based vaccination program. That is what happened in this COVID-19. They have dose 1, 2, and so on. This is about the implementation process. Let us move on to the next step. Please move on the slide. After implementation, we have evaluation. Okay, the purpose is to assess the effectiveness of the implemented knowledge identify the scope for improvement. So it includes few steps. The step 1, you have to monitor the usage and outcomes through metrics. For example, health improvements or behavior changes. Number 2, you gather the feedback from the various stakeholders. So by gathering the feedback, you can refine the knowledge and implement the strategies if needed. So the example for evaluation is tracking the vaccination coverage rates and the community health outcomes post-intervention. This is what we call as the evaluation stage. Let us move on to the next slide. Then let us see the framework. That is the diffusion of innovation theory, which was proposed by Roger C.M. the year 2003. This theory explains how the innovations are adopted, how it was scaled, and how it was diffused. So he lists out 5 attributes which influence the adoption rate. The attributes are relative advantage, compatibility, complexity, reliability, and observability. So these are the 5 attributes which influence the adoption rate. So in the next slide, let us see the diffusion of innovation model. This diffusion of innovation theory was proposed by Roger E.M. in the year 2003. Please move to the next slide. Next slide, please. This model, there's a diffusion of innovation model, has innovation, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. So there are 5 stages in the diffusion of innovation model. The first 2 people is called as innovators. So innovation is nothing but it may be any idea, new idea, or technology, or practice perceived as a novel by either by an individual or a group. So the key factors which influences the adoption process are relative advantage, compatibility, complexity, reliability, and observability. Now let us try to explain these 5 factors one by one. So what is relative advantage? Relative advantage, it gives an idea about how much better the innovation is compared to the existing solution. That is called as relative advantage. The second one is called as compatibility. Compatibility, this is how well the innovation is aligned with the values, needs, and the practices of potential adopters. There is a second factor called as compatibility. The third factor is complexity. So complexity is how difficult the innovation is to understand or use. Then we have 2 more factors called as reliability and observability. Reliability is the extent to which the innovation can be tested before full adoption. And observability is how visible the benefits of the innovation are to others. So these are the 5 characteristics which affects the adoption process, and the first portion, the first factor in the diffusion of adoption model is innovation. Let us move on to the next slide. Next slide, please. Let us see the adopter categories. The diffusion of theory, innovation theory, it is categorized the people under 5 categories. The first one is innovators, the second one is early adopters, the third one is early majority, fourth one is late majority, and fifth one is the laggards. So innovators normally in the total population, they are very less in number. That is, in the total population, their percentage is only 2.5. And these innovators are normally, they are risk takers who are the first to adapt any new product or service or idea. So typically, they have the access to the resources, various resources, and these people are willing to do experiment, new things, new product, new service, and new experience. So that is the basics of innovators. And basically, the innovators are very less in number. So here, they are in the total population, their contribution is 2.5%. The second category is early adopters. These early adopters, they follow the innovators. So compared to the innovators, their percentage is slightly more. So the innovators percentage is 2.5, whereas the early adopters percentage is 13.5%. And these early adopters, they are basically the opinion leaders who used to influence other peoples and adopt the new ideas early after some evaluation. So that is the characteristics of early adopters. So the early adopters are slightly bigger and their percentage is 13.5 in the total population according to the diffusion of innovation theory. Then the third category is early majority. This early majority, they are in the third form or in the third phase of the diffusion of innovation model. The first one is innovators, and the second one is early adopters, and the third one is early majority. So the early majority, their percentage is slightly higher than the early adopters. So they are almost more than double the value of early adopters. There is the percentage is 34. Early majority percentage is 34. And this early majority, they are thoughtful individuals who adopt innovation after seeing the benefits of the product or service and which was proved by others. So that is the selling features of the early majority. Then the fourth category is called as late majority. So late majority, they are also equal in number with the early majority. That is, their percentage is also 34. And these late majority people are skeptical individuals who adopt only after most of their peers have embraced the innovation. And the last category in the diffusion of adoption process is called as laggards, and they constitute 16% of the total population. And these laggards, they resist to change and adopt innovation, lost often due to tradition or resource constraints. So there are 5 categories in the adopter categories, and they are innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. So this is something about the adopter categories. Let us move on to the next slide. So diffusion of innovation process. This is the process of innovation spreading through a population which follows a S-shaped curve. So initially slow adoption, rapidly uptake as early adopters, and the early majority embrace it, plateau as the late majority, and the laggards adopt. So this is what they have given the form of steps in the diffusion process. There are 5 steps in the diffusion process. The first one is knowledge, the second one is persuasion, third one is taking decision, fourth one is implementation, and the fifth one is confirmation. So in the first stage, knowledge stage, the individuals become aware of the innovation, but they lack the detailed information about that. For example, learning about the electric cars through the advertisements. Stage 2 is called as persuasion. Here individuals develop attitudes towards innovation. The attitudes may be either positive or negative, or in some cases it may be neutral. For example, reading reviews about the benefits of electric cars. That is step 2, called as persuasion process. Step 3 is decision process. Here the individuals decide to adopt or reject the innovation process. For example, weighing the costs and benefits before purchasing the electric car. The fourth one is implementation process. Here the innovation is used in practice and users evaluate it practicality. For example, driving an electric car and assessing its performance. And step 5 is confirmation. Here, individuals seek reinforcement for the decision making, and they may continue or discontinue the use. So these are the 5 steps. So for the example for confirmation, what happened? So we are discussing
Sorry for the interruption.
No issue, no issue. So we are discussing the steps in the diffusion process, where in the last step it is called as confirmation. So the individuals seek the reinforcement for the decision, and they may continue or discontinue the use. Example, encouraging others to adopt the electric cars based upon their personal experience. So these are the steps in the diffusion process. Let us go to the next step. We list out the tools for transmitting the knowledge. It may be either the form of policy briefs, infographics,
Sir, excuse me, sir. Again, sorry. Yes, sir.
Why it matters? It provides a roadmap, identifies the barriers, and emphasizes the roles for communication.
So my net is dropping. 1 minute, sir.
No issue. No issue.
Vidya ma'am, shall I present? If you want, you can send the PPT. I'll present.
Ma'am, it is in our group itself, ma'am.
Okay. Sir, is it visible, sir? You can continue.
Yes. Yes. Next, let us see the case study of this COVID-19 vaccine development. It was a very big collaboration between the academia, industry, and the governments. It translates it allows rapid translation of research into action, which has a global impact on the public health. So as far as the COVID-19 vaccine development is concerned, the starting point is I'm going to move on to the next slide, Smart. Next. Next, Smart. Next. Yes. So December 31st, 2019, the first report of a cluster of pneumonia cases from Wuhan Municipal Health Commission and identification of a novel coronavirus. And it was published in the year January 12, 2020 in the genetic sequence of SARS-CoV-2. So the year 2020 in March 11, WHO declares this COVID-19 as a global pandemic. The same month, that is in March 18, first version candidate, first version that is called as Moderna, it enters the phase 1 clinical trial. Then at the end of the year, that is December 2, 2020, emergency use authorization was made for Pfizer BioNTech, that is COVID-19 vaccine in UK. Then the year 2021, it is May 28, European Union give us approval of providing vaccination for children aged between 12 to 15 years old. Then August 23rd, 2021, FDA regular approval of the vaccine. So likewise, this is an example of this COVID-19 vaccine development, where the various stakeholders, let's say industry, academia, the government, federal government, state government, central government, all the governments, they collaborate, they coordinate, and they have given this medicine for this COVID-19 virus. Let us see how to measure the impact. Impact can be measured in various ways. That is, one is society, another one is economics, third one is policy, fourth one is environmental. So society, we can measure how does it improve our quality of life. And then the economics front, how does the impact create the jobs? How does it save the cost? Thereby we can measure the impact in economical front. In the policy side, adoption of evidence-based decisions. And then the environmental side, reduced carbon emissions and so on. Then let us see next, how do we scale and sustain the impact? The steps to scale solutions. You have to adapt for different contexts, secure long-term funding and partnership with the various stakeholders, and in the sustaining impact, embed the practices into policies or the systems or subsystems. And also you have to monitor the progress over a period of time. So this is what called as scaling the impact and sustaining the impact. Then in the next slide, we are going to see the role of teachers or the faculties in facilitating the impact. So the faculty has a very big role in facilitating the impact. They have to guide the students to choose the impactful research topics. And also they have to teach the frameworks and tools for knowledge translations. They have to foster interdisciplinary as well as industry collaborations. Nowadays, the UGC University Grant Commission is encouraging the researchers to go do for interdisciplinary and intradisciplinary research and to have collaborations with industry. Now the UGC is starting a program called as Professor of Practice FOP, whereby person with industrial knowledge can take classes, can guide students, and they can also teach subjects. So that is about the fostering the interdisciplinary as well as the industry collaborations. The next slide, let us see the role of research scholars in achieving the impact. So all the research scholars are encouraged to conduct the problem-oriented research, and they have to communicate the findings effectively to the policymakers and to all the various government bodies. So they have to collaborate with the non-academic stakeholders, thereby they can know what is the problem, real problem that is happening in the society, and they can provide useful solutions. And that is how the role of research scholars is having a very big impact. Then let us try to see what are the challenges in achieving this impact. We have listed various challenges. One is about the lack of stakeholder engagement. The number two is difficulty in translating the findings for non-academic audience. And number three is insufficient funding for implementation. Number four is resistance to adopt new practices. So these are some of the challenges in the achieving the impact. Then, how will you overcome the challenges? You have to build a partnership. You have to secure translational funding. You have to simplify communication using visuals and stories. You have to pilot the solutions before scaling. Thereby, you can overcome the challenges. Then let us see the research impact. Tools and resources for planning impact planning. funding resources, knowledge transmission workshops, and so on. So tools and resources for impact planning, funding resources, knowledge transfer workshops, and visuals. That is icons of tools, funding and training. And let us see the various key takeaways. Research impact is about making a difference beyond the academia. It requires planning, collaboration, and commitment to research. Tools, frameworks, and examples can guide out the process. So, call to action. What can you do today to ensure your research makes an impact? Next slide. Any questions? So today we have given an idea about what is the impact of, why is research impact important, and so on.
Participants, the floor is open for questions now.
Do you have any questions or clarifications? Please.
Anyone with any questions or any clarifications or any contributions are now welcome. You can open your audios and you can speak. Dear participants, feedback link is posted. So few participants have shared their appreciation towards your presentation, sir. They have said highly appreciated, they have been benefited. Many appreciations have come up, sir.
Thank you.
Very informative. Well structured presentation, sir. Ma'am, any questions in the YouTube link? No, ma'am, I don't think so. Only some applications only have come. Yeah.
Still, if you have any questions, you can mail me or you can WhatsApp me.
Yes, sir.
We are here to answer.
Sir. Sir, there's one question.
Yes, ma'am.
So, please inform the steps needed to conduct the research survey for product creation. Shall I read it once again, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Please inform the steps needed to conduct a research survey for product creation.
Actually, in my presentation, I have given the steps to transfer from research to impact process. And 5-step process. Same thing only, madam.
Yeah.
That is, first you have to identify the problem.
Yes, sir.
Step 2, engage the stakeholders. Step 3, conduct the research. Step 4, transfer the knowledge.
You have explained, sir. Yes.
And step 5, do evaluation and sustain impact.
But as you are explaining, one of the participants, they are thanking you for referring to the 5 steps of process and the systematic and a clear way of presentation, they have said, sir. Participants, if there's no questions, we will proceed with the closure session.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. May I now request Dr. Uma Mageshwari, Assistant Professor of Management Studies, to please present the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Vidya ma'am. Let me first thank Almighty for this day. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Dr. Devamaindan, for an inspiring and insightful presentation. Your expertise and vision have not only deepened our understanding of the critical interplay between research and societal impact, but also ignited us with a sense of purpose to bring about meaningful change through innovation. I would like to thank the management of both the institutions for providing us with this invaluable platform to discuss ideas that have the power to shape our future. Your unwavering commitment to fostering a culture of learning and application is truly commendable. A special thanks to our research team for the meticulous planning, even though it is a weekend Sunday or also the New Year's Eve. And finally, to all my fellow attendees, thank you for your active participation and thought-provoking questions and feedback. It is our collective curiosity and commitment that will bridge the gap between academic exploration and real-world solution. Finally, let us take a moment to reflect on the key takeaways of this session. Research is not just about discovery, but about delivering impact that transforms lives. Let us pledge to apply the knowledge gained today to create a sustainable, inclusive, and prosperous future for all. With that, I once again thank everyone for making this session a resounding success. Thank you, sir, for your active participation, and also to all the participants. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Professor. Shall I leave the meeting, madam?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Ma'am, we can leave now.
Yes, ma'am. I think we can leave, ma'am. Thank you very much, Abhi, ma'am.
No problem.
Shall I end the meeting, ma'am?